Hello friends, so this is the second part of this video, marine magnetic compass, and in this video we'll discuss about the ship's magnetism. And from here onward this chapter will be very important, and each and every point is required to be understood very carefully. Thereafter this chapter will become very easy, otherwise the same thing will remain with you, and this chapter will seems like very hard for you. So just uh, try to understand as much as possible, and if you feel any doubt you can just write that thing in comment and I will try to reply. But here, as we have already studied about the ship's magnetism, sorry, the magnetism, what is the magnetism, what is the earth magnetic field, and what is the earth magnetism, and everything we have already learned in part 1. So from here we start the ship's magnetism. And so in a ship's magnetism means, the ships is made of iron material and many other materials. So what the things are those, we have already discussed about what the permanent magnetism and what is the ferromagnetic material, how does it becomes like a permanent magnet or an induced magnet. So here this ship's magnetism is, it the structure of ships, the whole structure of the ship is made up of steel and some other. So as per their nature it influence this ship's compass, which is placed on the monkey island. So we'll come to know slowly how does it affect the, how does it influence the magnetic compass. So first of the ship's magnetism I have already mentioned here. There are three types. The one is the permanent, either it will be permanently converted to the magnet, or the subpermanent or induced, because there are induced magnetic field, and with the influence of that the like mast on a longitudinal girder etc., that will become that will induced and will behave like a magnet. So first of all we'll see the permanent, what is the permanent magnetism in this one. It is in hard iron structure. So what is the hard iron structure in ships? That is keel, deck, hull, etc., which is placed for a long time at the same direction, same place. And how does it get magnetized? We have already discussed. Because so see, like when the keel is laid somewhere in any direction, northeast, north south, or east west, or in any intercardinal direction. So what happens actually when keel is laid, and thereafter during the ship's construction, many times and various type of striking, hitting, and similar such type of action is being done on that iron, that keel, or that structure. So what happened actually, the particle of that particular iron get aligned in a particular direction after repeated striking, or hitting or something. It get aligned in a particular direction, and that is influenced by the earth magnetism. Like if it is we are constructing in the northern hemisphere, then I will later on I will show you how does it get magnetized, and how does it become a red pole on the on certain side and blue pole on certain side. So actually how does it become that the only reason is after multiple striking and heating of that material and other similar type of activity. Because of that activity, that particle get aligned in a particular direction, and that thereafter it will it become a magnet, and thereafter it becomes behave like a magnet. So what is that? That is keel, hull, structure, deck. So what happens that it takes time to magnetize and demagnetize. Difficult to get magnetized, but once magnetized it will remain throughout the life, and that is the permanent magnetism. Subpermanent is the only one portion is there related to this, so that I will discuss later. And the induced one. So induced one, it happens in soft iron structure like mast, funnel, longitudinal structure, girder, or something. So these magnetize easily. These type of material which can easily get magnetized or easily demagnetized. It doesn't retain it for a long time. Once you remove the cause of that magnetic field, it will it will remain like a iron, or just a material. No magnetic behavior will be there. So this is induced, and this is permanent magnetism. So we'll see one by one. So first of all we'll come to the permanent. So in permanent magnetism we will see, we have already talked about the component of the magnetic field. So what is that? Magnetic force. So we have already talked that horizontal component and vertical component. So vertical component, for in the terms of earth magnetism, are denoting this one vertical by Z and horizontal by H. Here there are two forces. For horizontal is force O, and for vertical is force R. In the permanent magnetism will denote the horizontal component by O and vertical by R. Now in horizontal there are two directions. It will be either in term of shape, it will be either in fore and aft direction or in outward shift direction, port and starboard. So it is further divided in two parts. This O component is further divided in two parts. If it is in fore and aft direction, fore and aft, then that will be denoted by P, force P. And if it is in outward shift direction, outward shape, that will be denoted by Q, and vertical is only one, that will be denoted by force R, which I have already shown. So what is this? We'll one by one we'll study about P, Q, and then R. So now force P. Here we'll see that we have already discussed that there are two components: horizontal component, vertical component. In horizontal component there are two forces, force P and force Q, and for vertical there is only one component, force R. So in now we are about to study this force P. So force P is the horizontal force. That's why I have written here horizontal, because it is a part of horizontal force. Fore and aft, this is the key point here. Fore and aft component of a ship's permanent magnetic field, because there are two directions, fore and aft and outward shift. So the one which is in fore and aft direction, that is called force P of the permanent magnetic field. And for the sign convention, we will take plus P if direction is forward, minus P if direction is aft. If anything, I will just discuss what is that plus P and minus P. If the direction of compass is in the forward direction, then that will be considered as plus P. If it is in aft direction, then that will be considered as minus P. Here it will be clear how it is. Like suppose one vessel which is about to build in somewhere at the earth, and if that is the vessel is heading north, like suppose this is a vessel and it is heading north, and this is the magnetic field which is coming from downward, means from the south. So what happens, one thing here I will try to highlight here, and that thing will hold throughout the chapter, throughout the magnetic field. We'll discuss only one thing here, and that will be remain everywhere, because a student get confused. I have seen many students get confused because of this, because they don't understand what is actually what is happening here, and there because of this single thing the whole chapter is become, thereafter the student, their concept is not clear, and that will remain for throughout, and the chapter will become tough for you. So the only one thing, I'll just, this thing I am denoting here is compass. So wherever we'll show the compass, here we need to show the needle of that compass. And we know, many where some teacher will say, tell you to consider this green, red or something, but for me I will try, I'm just forcing it, I'm highlighting it, that you don't have to think any about. If a needle is placed here, then suppose a needle is there, then there is some, one point will be red and other point will be blue. So from now till the end of this chapter, just make it a note that we will consider a needle here. Suppose this is a needle here, then at the end of this arrow will be always red pole. And suppose, just consider that blue pole is fixed somewhere, and if any needle is swinging, or if a needle is swinging in a dial, then one point is fixed with something, a pin or something. So that fixed is just considered that the blue point is that, and the red one is free to move. So at the end one it is red here, red of that needle is here for everywhere. So thereafter wherever we'll construct, we'll draw this picture, the red is always at the arrow end. So consider that only. So now you see the magnetic field is coming from this. So we have already studied that the wherever the magnetic line of force is entering, that is blue of that, that is the blue pole of that magnet. So since it is coming from here, means it is entering somewhere here, and it is coming out from this side. So if it is coming from here, then which one will be attracting? Blue pole. That's why the blue pole will form here on this side, and since it is blue pole here, then the other side the red pole will form. So red is here and blue is here. Now the concept is, since this needle is red I already told you that at the end of this needle, just consider this one as red and blue of this is fixed here. So blue is not going to influence with anything because it is fixed with a pin or a pivoting point. So only red is the one which will move or which will circle in the compass. So see, if it is if red is here and red is here, then it will repel, it will not attract. That's why. And since blue is here and the red of this is here, I'll just make this one little larger, and blue is forming at this end. That's why how this needle will behave, needle will, it will not lying on the north side because it is red here, so it will repel this one, so it will not lying in this, and this one is blue, so this arrow will come like this because yellow point, sorry, red point is there, so this red will attracted by this blue and your needle will show in the aft direction. That is what I told you. If the force is towards the aft, if the force is towards the aft, then that will be considered as minus p. So which force is forming here? Minus p force. Same thing will come here and it will be more clear. Again the magnetic force, line of force is coming from here, this side. So wherever it entering, that is the blue, so blue is forming this side, and if blue is forming this side means red is forming this side. So what will happen to the compass, because we have already discussed that it is all about the red point of that compass needle. So red will be attracted by this blue, so it will show somewhat toward the south side, this side, and this is the fore part of the vessel. So I already told you, if it is in forward direction, then that will be considered as plus p. So here it is plus p. Now we will see here in the in any intercardinal direction what happened here. If magnetic line of force is coming from this side, so blue will form somewhere here, blue will form somewhere here, and the red on the opposite side somewhere here. So what will happen to the needle? Needle is always trying to align in the north direction, but if it will try to align here, this will be repelled by that one and it will be attracted by this one. So what will happen here? It will attract in this direction, so it is somewhere, it is showing somewhere in the aft. If I try to, let's see, if I try to make this one like this, so actually it was try to align in this direction, forward direction, but because of this red pole, and here at the top of this arrow is also red, so it is repelling this one, and because of this repulsion, it is coming this side, and because of this blue, it is attracted by this one, and that's why this will not lying on this side, but it will lie in this side. So which type of, actually it is exactly in this direction. So what is this? Which direction is this? This is the aft of the vessel. That's why minus p force is forming here. So now from here one thing is clear. We can write here on the basis of the below diagram. We can write one thing here, that if a vessel built on a heading which is northerly. So this one is north. This one is your other northerly component. Yeah? Northerly component. Then force P is negative, because this is the northerly component. This is the northerly component. Ship's heading is in northerly component, and here also northerly because north is northerly. But force P is minus, negative, and in southerly component it is positive, and vice versa we can say, and vice versa. If it is in southerly component, then it is plus, positive. Positive. So this is about force P. I hope there will be no any confusion with this force P. If any doubt, just write in the comment box. I will reply. And now we'll see force Q. Yeah. So now the force Q. So what is this force Q? Force Q is also one of the horizontal force. One of the horizontal force we have already discussed, and the outward ship component. What was the fore and aft component? That was force P of horizontal force. Yeah. So the fore and aft was P, and this outward ship is outward component is force Q of permanent magnetic field. So it is the horizontal earthward shift component of permanent magnetic field. And in this one, these are the things which we actually need to remember. This we have to consider if the force is on a starboard side. If it is on a starboard side, then that will be considered as positive. If it is on port side, we will consider it as a negative. So again, in the same way, how we understood the force P, the same way, suppose a vessel which is being built on heading east, west, and one we are taking any intercardinal, that is here we are taking northeast. So what happens here is, suppose a vessel is constructing in the and the heading is east. So what all the hull and everything, what happen actually, that will magnetize. Which type of magnetism? Which type it will get magnetized? That permanent, and that permanent force is Q. P, Q, and R, that's the permanent force, and that is what we are studying here. So again, in the same way, the magnetic line of force is coming from this south direction, suppose. So what will happen? Which pole will form here? That, because it is entering, so here it will blue, and if it is blue here, means red on the opposite side. Again, in this one, what will happen? Blue pole will form on this side and red on this side. Here again, blue on this side and red on opposite side. Okay, so now this is how the structure get magnetized permanently. So this, the structure of the ship is permanently get magnetized, in which the blue pole is on the starboard side and red pole on port side when the vessel is being built on heading east. And the same thing, if it is building on west heading, then what happen? The blue pole will form on the port side and red on starboard side, and again that one also. So now what will happen here? Where the needle will go? Needle will try to remain in the forward direction, but because of this influence, it will come on this direction. Why? Because we have already discussed that we study for red end of that needle, because we are considering that red end is here at the end of the arrow, so that will be attracted by this one blue. So the needle will behave, and needle will deflect towards the starboard side. So what we have studied here, if it is on starboard side, that will be considered as positive. So here which force will form? That plus Q, plus Q. Again here, which type of where the needle will go? Here it is red, here it is blue. So it will come towards the blue. So it will be on this side. So which side of that vessel is this? This is the port side of that vessel. This was the starboard side, that's why Q. So port side is what? Port side is negative. So it is minus Q. What will happen here? The arrow will lie in this direction. So what direction is this? Starboard side of this vessel. So starboard is positive. So plus Q will form. So in the same way, we can mark whether the force plus Q or minus Q is forming. So later on also it will come, and at that time also we will see whether the force P plus minus force P plus force Q or minus force Q, which type of force is forming in a particular direction of ship, if it is constructed in particular direction. So from all these discussion, what the conclusion is? If vessel which is built on easterly heading, then Q is positive. See, this is easterly heading, plus Q. This is also easterly northeast, so plus Q. And if it is on westerly, then it will be negative. So this is the conclusion of this. So we have studied about the force P and force Q. Now we'll go for force R, which is a vertical force we have seen. So horizontal force, both component, fore and aft, and outward shift we have already seen. Now the vertical component, either above or below, that force we'll see in the force R. Okay, so this is force R. Force R is what? That is the vertical component of ship's permanent magnetic field. What we are studying about? This is a ship's permanent magnetic field. Which type of that? That is, one is horizontal, another one is vertical. In horizontal, there are two types: force P and force Q. What is force P? Force P is in the fore and aft direction. Force Q is in the earthward shift direction, port and starboard direction. Now this force R is, means for vertical one is only one component, that is force R, and so this is the vertical component of ship's magnetic field. Here to remember is, positive we have to consider if that force is acting towards the keel or main deck. If the force is acting towards the keel or main deck, that time we will consider it as positive, and we will consider the same as negative if it is away from the keel and main deck. So now consider this is the earth, this is the earth, and this is the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, equator. So which type of pole is forming in the earth? Blue on the north side and red on the south side. We have already discussed in the earth magnetism part 1. So suppose in this three position I have considered the one vessel is being built at three locations. One is in northern hemisphere, one is somewhere at the equator, and one at the southern hemisphere. So this type of force will form here, that we'll see. Now you see, if we are in northern hemisphere, so the pole which is in the earth core is what? Blue pole. So whatever the force will form here at the keel, that will be red. It will automatically become red. It will become red. So the keel of that vessel will become red because this is blue. So opposite of that, it will form here that is red. And if it is red here, then which type of pole will form at the other side? So here it will blue. Here it will blue. In the same way, in southern hemisphere, the bottom one will become blue. This one will become blue, and the top part will become red. Opposite of that. So what will happen to this? Now I'm constructing the same thing here. So this is the port side of the vessel, starboard side of the vessel. This is I'm showing from the aft view. The propeller is here. So if any needle is here, suppose any needle is here. So here it is. Here it is blue. Here it is red. Here it is red. I'm constructing the same picture here. So what will happen to the needle here? What will happen to needle here? That needle will show some vertical component, like horizontally okay, it is moving either in the up direction or throughout 360 direction in the same plane. But because of this blue at this end, because I have already told you that that needle will only read only whenever we discuss about the needle, we'll discuss about only the red point of that needle. So the red point of that needle will attract towards this blue because this is the nearest. Here it is red, but it is further. So the nearest one is blue. So that blue will attract this red point of that arrow towards itself. So what will happen to this? It will act downward. It will act downward because red will be attracted by, I'll just show this one with black. This needle will act downward. Why? Because we are studying for this red end of that arrow, and blue is here at the upper one. So that blue will attract this, and it will show. I'm showing a longer arrow here, but it is just arrow. You can consider what is the size of that needle compared to the vessel. I'm just constructing this one larger so that you can understand. So this one will act downward because this blue will attract the red end of this arrow towards it. So this one is downward because which type of force is being created here? Like this, red, it will come out from red and enter to the blue. It is coming out from the red and coming out to the entering into the blue end, because here it is red and here it is blue. So the needle will influence because of this blue, and that's why this needle will deflect downward. So it is downward. So for downward or towards the keel, we have already written here towards the keel or main deck, it is positive. So which type of force will form here is plus R. Same thing will come here in southern hemisphere. So which type of pole is forming here? The blue here and the red is here. So what will happen to the needle? Needle is here. So red is here, and the red of that needle is also red. End of the needle is also red. So that red will be repelled by this red. So it will show somewhere away, away, away from the hull or away from the main deck keel. So it will show upward direction. So if you try to make the line of force, then which type of force will it will like this? It is coming out from here and entering on the blue end. So the force will be away from the hull. So for away from the hull is negative. So minus R will form. Minus R will form. I think there will be no doubt. And again, now we'll discuss about the equator. So at the equator, we have already seen in first part of the video that in earth magnetism there is no vertical component at the equator, only horizontal component, either fore and aft or outward shift. So only horizontal component means H in that earth magnetism will be present here at the equator, and that will be the maximum at the equator. So vertical component is 0. That's why it will not deflect any more to the compass needle at the Monkey Island. And so there is force R is just R. Force R is nil. Force R is nil at the equator. If the vessel is constructing or built at the equator. So what the conclusion from this is if a vessel is built in northern hemisphere, see in northern hemisphere, so force R is positive, we can see here positive, and vice versa. If it is in southern hemisphere, then that will become minus R, and force R is 0 at the equator. We can see here the force R is 0 at the equator. So this is about force R. Now we'll see about the induced magnetic field, and that is most important topic. So now here we'll just see a little bit about the induced magnetic field, and the most of this part, what is the 9 rod, that we'll see in the next part of this magnetic compass video, because that is a long topic, and if we try to make it, this part will become very large. I don't want to make this one very large, so we'll just a little bit terminology we'll see here, and thereafter from the 9 rod and what is the induced magnetism we'll see in the next part. So what is that? Induced magnetism is why we have already discussed many times. It is due to soft iron rod. Soft iron rod, what is on there on the soft? Like ship is constructed, so magnetic field of our compass is at the Monkey Island. So what all there are many longitudinals are there, and just behind the magnetic compass there is funnel. So the soft iron bar is there also in the vertical direction. So these all longitudinal, this mast and another type of girder or these things. These are also the metal. So these metals influence the needle of the compass. So because of that induction, because of that rod, it get influence, and induced magnetism is formed there. So it is because due to the soft iron rod, the longitudinal mast, girder, etc. So there are 9 imaginary soft iron rod in such type, like longitudinal, mast, girder, in different direction. There are we have considered 9 imaginary soft iron rod. Those are present on ship, and those influence the needle of the magnetic compass. So what all those 9 imaginary rod we'll see later in the next part. So what are those? They are long and thin, which has been used in the construction of ship. So one terminology is what is effective pole. We'll see here effective pole. Like suppose our compass is somewhere, and one imaginary rod is there. So the a pole is formed at the end of a rod which is nearest to the compass is called the effective pole. What is that? Like suppose here you will see, suppose here our compass is here, and there is one longitudinal here, this one which I have shown in fore and aft direction. So like suppose if red end is forming at the further end away from the compass, and blue is near to the compass. So the one which is near to the compass is called nearest or effective pole. So this is effective pole, and this is the farther pole, this one is farther pole of that particular rod. So this is about the definition of effective pole and further pole. This is formed at the end of a rod away from the compass is called further pole. There are 3 set of this rod, which is A, B, C. You have seen in the magnetic compass chapter, D, E, F, G, H, K. What is this? This is important. This is, you can say, backbone of the magnetic compass chapter. So that's why I don't want to mess up these all things in this part, because that is a long topic, and we'll study later in the next part separately, because this is the only thing. If you manage to understand this one, then magnetic compass is just nothing for you, and if you could not understand this, then magnetic compass you cannot understand at any cost. So this thing we'll study in the next part, and we'll end this video here only for this part 2, and we'll see you in the next part. Thank you for watching.